nation. We need some.
And just like a red, white, and blue phoenix rising from the ashes of political bipartisanship, we are back to Salt of the Streets podcast.
This is Saturday, March 19th, 12:20 p.m. This is episode 124.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Salt of the Streets podcast, which happens to be your one and only source for social and political commentary and all the weekly news, pop culture, and sports that you can handle. And the best part about the whole deal, it's all built from the ground up for people like you and me, the everyday normal person. So come down and join us as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And continue our endless endeavor to bridge the gap between people and information. As always, we are your hosts. I am Colin.
And I am Donovan.
And today we've got a lot coming up today. We've got another. This is the third.
It's the second
new
of the
format.
new structure. Yeah.
And so our show map for today will include part one is our standard pop culture stuff. We're going to be talking about some local politics. I've got some Washington State hunting news to go over, which is going to be fun. And there's been a lot of fun little pop culture things. We're going to talk about Juicy Smoothie a little bit here real quick.
That's right.
We had talked a little bit on where were you talking about that with your buddy Josh Keaton's Instagram preview? Was that on the live stream the other day?
That was
the book
on
club?
Yeah, it was on a book club live stream.
Okay, I want to have some more conversation about that poll. That was really good. So we'll do that. And then we're going to take a quick break after all that. And then we're going to come back for part 2 of 4. And part 2 of 4 is going to be including Russia-Ukraine is part 2 this time. And then part 3, we're going to be getting into some of that lovely Don't Say Gay bill down in Florida and talking about the trans athletes bill that I think was passed in Texas, right?
So the Texas bill has to do with medical procedures for minors is what this
So what you're telling me is I looked up the wrong bill yesterday.
No, we're going to talk about trans athletes too, because
I got some really great articles pulled up for us. So we'll do
we'll talk about Leah Thomas, and I guess that's okay. They're both very accurate. But yeah, the
I'm sure
one
they'll
that
intertwine.
the one that I will be going over, that we'll be discussing, you'll have no problem getting into, is a letter written from Greg Abbott that is regarding a legal opinion from their attorney general. And the legal opinion indicates that any type of medical procedures or things like that for transitioning youth is child abuse, and the doctors need to be reporting them. So we'll go over all those things in more detail. That's a very rough, just when it's like, that's not what it says. We're going to read the letter. We'll go over it. That's just a very rough, just to introduce it. So.
And then, of course, we got 4-4 is always going to be our grab bag thing. And I don't want to spoil too many things, but I got a few fun little grab bag things that I've pulled from the last couple weeks. And then we'll go over sports. Yeah.
We got lots of sports.
We had a death from in the ESPN realm, one of the announcer guys that I've always made fun of on TV for looking like he looks like a super nerd, like a little dweebo guy. He's kind of bald and stuff. I can't remember his name, but I'll pull it up before sports because I saw the RIPs going around last night for him. So that looks pretty sad. And then, obviously, Patreon exclusive, part 5 of 4 will be, that's always undisclosed information. We do not talk about what we talk about on 5 of 4 right here. So we'll find out what we talk about later on with that. So that being said, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good. I want to remind everybody, obviously, the Patreon you can find, patreon.com/saltofthestreets. If you want to go there, help us make more and better content. You can find our own personal social media. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. And Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both those things. We also have our Salt of the Streets Instagram at Salt of the Streets, or Facebook, fuck Facebook, facebook.com/saltofthestreets. We also have our... What am I trying to say?
YouTube, Patreon.
YouTube. That's you're watching us right now. Patreon, thank you or YouTube. You're watching us right now. You can find all this at saltofthestreets.com. So, also want to remind you guys, in regards to the Patreon or everything else we have, you said right before here, we got content 5 days a week. We have beer shows dropping on Friday, Monday, and Wednesday. We have parts from the show. We have clips that are coming out the other days. The book club live streams are on Thursdays. We have the newsletter that comes on the last day of the month, the review preview that comes out on the first day of the month. We are constantly making and putting out content for you guys. And in regards to that, we should do some housekeeping real quick.
Indeed.
We will not be here. Our next episode was scheduled for April 2nd. Colin will be attending a wedding on the East Coast. We will not be here for that. We will have lots of content dropping for you guys in the meantime, so don't worry. We have the review preview dropping on the 1st and the newsletter on the last day of the month. If you're part of the Patreon, go there. $5 tier. So it's $5. You get the articles from me and Colin, and we will have more. We have some beer reviews and stuff like that dropping. We had the beer review drop just last night, right,
good stuff.
Colin?
It's real good stuff. I got to tell you, we're doing something new on the beer show.
So there we go.
If you haven't seen that yet, make sure to check out, right here on the Salt of the Streets YouTube. Make sure you check that out if you're into beer at all. We had a much more conversational show yesterday, and I think that's the way we're going to do it. Talked a lot about the expansion of the Salt of the Streets brewery and how it's officially begun.
Yes.
And so we're going to be taking a look and having some conversations about what kind of beer we should be trying first. So put that in your cod piece. And that's a weird thing to say. Cod piece, I believe, is not what I'm... Put that in your head and think about that.
Oh, that was awesome.
Cod piece.
Put that in your cod piece.
Yeah, I believe a cod piece was like a
cod piece. A cod piece is like a shell, not like a seashell, but a shell that you put in your pants that covered up a male's genitals, and you also put like your money and shit in there, and that's where the term family jewels came from.
Oh my gosh,
I
cod
believe,
piece.
Right?
Look at this. Here we go.
See it.
The
Okay.
cod piece. A cod piece is a covering flap or pouch that attaches to the front of the crotch in the man's trousers, enclosing the genital area. So there's a picture of a cod piece. That's a modern day cod piece. Oh yeah, and then the old school, you keep them in there. That's where you keep your shillings and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they would keep their jewels in there.
That would make sense.
That was the
family jewels
look at those
and
fucking things.
Yeah, look at this one. This is some modern day stuff right here.
That's weird, bro.
What is going on here?
Codpiece is style on the rise. That's not style on the rise. A codpiece is not coming back.
Nah, but it's high fashion, bro. We don't know what we're talking about because it's all high fashion. It's all the stuff that Kim Kardashian would probably create new lines for. Yeah, she's not doing too bad for herself.
We were just
Jordan
and I were just talking about that yesterday.
Kim K?
Yeah, her whole deal with Kanye West and like harassment and legalities and the way that it's interpreted socially. Kanye West is a crazy person.
Yes,
right?
he
I
is.
don't know if you've been tracking any of this. I have not.
It seems like he gets further and further down that road a little bit.
And I asked Jordan about it yesterday, and that's how this whole thing started. It's like, what's going on with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian? So
he's cray.
They got divorced. I guess their divorce is finalized now, and she's officially dating Pete Davidson, and Kanye West has been making music and stuff like using bits from like phone calls between him and Kardashian and like doing shit where he's like holding the head of Pete Davidson, doing a lot of really weird stuff, weird Kanye West-esque things, you know.
Only Kanye could do.
It's all very inappropriate. Yeah, it's not good. And so we're talking about like the levels of harassment and like, is he legally harassing her? Or is it just, it was a very complicated conversation. Apparently Kim Kardashian like has a restraining order or something like that against Kanye West. Doesn't surprise me. He's a crazy person. It's not good. No. None of it's good.
So dovetailing right off of that.
Yeah.
I know you always like to start off things with the let me ask you this.
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt it. It's just such a natural segue.
You usually just find time.
Exactly.
But you want it? You want it now?
I do want it now.
Okay.
I want it good. I don't want to say that.
Don't.
I'm not going to say that.
Don't.
We're not doing
Don't.
it.
Okay.
So speaking of Kim K.
Yeah, speaking of Kim K. Colin, let me ask you this.
Word.
How do you know that you're on the right side of history?
Oh. How do I know?
Yes.
I guess I'm insinuating that I am on the right side of history.
I'm insinuating that you're on the right side of history.
Oh, that's a thinker right there. How do I know? I know I did. Man, this is interesting. I would say that I know I'm on the right side of history because essentially I am doing my utmost to try not to force people into doing something. I want people to do whatever it is they want to do within the confines of a few basic rules. And other than that, you do you. And I feel like history should be pretty kind to me by that because I'm not acting as an authoritarian telling people what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
You just do you. Just leave me out of it.
No, I think that's a great answer. And what I wrote down is very similar to that. It's very simple. It's just because you can never go wrong with liberty.
Word.
You can never go wrong with liberty.
That's a really good way to phrase that.
If you are on the side of liberty, you are always. I have the benefit of not only writing these questions, but also having all of the time that I want to write my answer. So
I like being in the hot seat. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It makes me think on my feet in a way that I'm not really that used to.
Yeah. Let's take this shot. This dog is destroying me. I need to deaden
My eyes, man. You can't see it now. Chloe
Just
is
sleeping.
Is she over on your side
Yeah,
now?
her
Good.
asshole's
I'm
just
slightly out of the blast range. She's being very gassy this morning, so
She's
we're dying.
blowing us out of this building.
Well,
Let's take this shot.
we're gonna
real
take
quick.
the shot, and then I'm gonna cut to you for a minute because I want to
Ceremonial.
adjust our. There it is. The BSB. I want to adjust our wide shot here real quick. It's a little
that's no
off
problem
kilter.
there. So let's talk some pop culture, right? Talking about some stuff that we consumed, and then we'll get into some Jussie Smollett. Is that his name? Jussie Smollett? Jussie Smollett?
Yeah, his real
Does anyone know?
His real name is Jussie Smollett, but Dave Chappelle, the true king of the universe, he has dubbed him Juicy Smoothie through one of, I think it was on the Sticks and Stones special, but on one of his latest specials, he tells the story of Juicy Smoothie, this fabulous French actor that gets hate crimed in the middle of Chicago at 2 a.m. by a subway.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I watched a lot of stuff this week. I watched Jarhead. I love Jarhead.
It's your favorite thing.
Favorite book? Yeah, the book is coming. That's the December book. If you're in the book club, you go to their Instagram, see what the list is. You can jump on the book club. It's very simple. Pretty much just be a part of the community. Comment on there. Let us know that you're reading. Check in, on the lives. Jarhead, Contagion. I watched Contagion this week.
That's a great movie.
I watched it and I thought back.
Lawrence Fishburne and
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon is it? Yeah, because he's the main dude. Jude Law.
Jude Law.
He
Yep,
plays.
Jude Law's
He
in it.
plays the Alex Jones.
Yes.
And
what's her name?
yeah, what is her name?
Gwyneth Paltrow is in it for about 5 minutes.
Yep. She don't make it very long.
Yeah, no. And then there's also the British woman. I cannot choose from The Holiday.
She is.
I can't remember what her name is though.
Beautiful. I think she's French.
Is she French?
I do believe so. I'm going to pull
British.
it up real quick.
She's also in
Where
that
are
Steve
you?
Jobs movie that I watched.
Kate Winslet. That's what you're talking about.
That's
Kate
what it is.
Winslet.
Kate Winslet.
I thought you were talking about.
Yes. Like, what's her name? Marianne Cotillard or something like that? That's that woman's name, I'm pretty sure.
We're going to go with that. Monique? Is that her? No, that's not her. Different person. I'm having a hard time finding her.
Monique is a
IMDb.
large black woman.
That's not who I'm talking about. Not even a little bit. I'm talking about
She works for the
the
WHO.
actress. Yeah, and then she gets like kidnapped by that group of people, and really all they're trying to do is just like get some vaccine from her and stuff, and then they're fine, and she kind of gets on their side. I don't remember her name.
I'm pretty sure it's Marianne Cotillard.
Cotillard. That
Yeah,
sounds right.
Something
Why not?
like that. So
Marianne Cotillard.
eBay, IBDM.
I saw the preview for Obi-Wan on that new Star Wars joint. And let's just say, I'm getting real tired of Star Wars every year, or like 2 new Star Wars things every year, multiple new Marvel things every year. But I'm kind of into Obi-Wan Kenobi right now. I'm actually excited about this. It looks pretty
Really?
cool. Yeah,
I'm
I
surprised
like the idea.
to hear that with as much.
There's been a lot of shit out there coming out of Star Wars
also
world.
with as
lately.
much Eric July as you've been listening to lately.
Well, I like his opinions, but it doesn't necessarily, they're not mine.
No,
Put it that way.
So on that tilt though, of not giving money to people who hate you, right? I want to talk about something that I went through this week, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to think is really stupid. I needed new shoes this week, and
why is that stupid?
We'll get there.
Okay.
I needed new shoes, and so I was like, I'm going to go buy a pair of new shoes. But in that morning, it was like Thursday. That I was like, I want to buy a pair of shoes that are from America. Let me buy a pair of shoes that are from America. So
take out a second mortgage.
Right. So I looked up a list of shoes. I'm like, I'm going to have to order these online. Like, none of these are in stores around me that I can see. And so I was like, well, I need to get a pair of shoes so I can go there. So I'm going to go to the store, and I'm sure I can find a pair of shoes that are at least manufactured in America. You can't. Spoiler alert. Dickies, DC, not Dickies, DC, Vans, Converse, Nike, obviously, Adidas, Puma,
all of them.
All in Asia. Which that's the part that I'm sure people are like, you're a fucking idiot, you know? I just assumed, especially Converse or something, I'm like, there's got to be at least one of these companies that's making shoes not in China, right? So DCs I found, and I was like, fuck, am I really going to buy a pair of DCs? You're like, I don't know about this. I'm Googling all these companies so that I can try and see where they're making their shit. And Google tells me that DC's just signed a new contract with Vietnam, and they make all their shoes in Vietnam now. Right on the goddamn box, manufactured in China. What are we talking about? So there literally wasn't a shoe that I could buy in store that was made in America. At least not...
Generally speaking, no.
Generally speaking, right? I'm sure, that's why I'm saying it's stupid. I'm sure there's going to be one person who's like, well, you could have fucking bought this. I'm sure I could have, right? Yeah. So then I decided... after this, because I became so frustrated that I couldn't find a pair of shoes that were made in America. That pair of shoes, that black pair of shoes that I wore here today, that's what I bought on Thursday. That is the last pair of shoes that I buy for myself that don't come from an American company. That don't come from a company who's manufacturing them in America.
Actually made in America.
Made in America. So I found a lot of shoes, a lot of them very hipstery shoes, a lot of boots and stuff like that. There's not a lot of like sneakers that are made in America.
Yeah, I was just going to say, your best bet to find an American manufactured footwear of any kind would be like work boots and
hiking,
hipster boots,
so
stuff like that. I mean,
there's a series of companies that make hiking and hunting boots and work boots in America. That's very common.
I forget what it's called. Jocko's got a company. Jocko Willing's got a company that makes
jeans too.
They make jeans.
I think it's Origin. I think
maybe I'm thinking he makes boots and I'm wrong. I know he makes jeans. I thought he makes boots too. Let me see what I can find real quick.
Boots and jeans. And then Steve Vernell is always talking about Schnees. Schnees are made in Montana, so that's also an American-made company. So, the boots will be no problem. I'll be able to find a pair of boots from America.
I've obviously looked at this before. Yeah, Origin Maine they also do boots.
Yeah.
Nice-looking boots, too. I mean, healthy-looking. I'm a big fan.
I thought about buying a pair of their jeans once, but they're about $200.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, that's a
love America.
Welcome to American manufacturing, man.
Slowly but surely. I just was very disturbed by that, and we're always talking about theme on the show. I forgot to remind people last week, but we're doing it now, is to reevaluate your relationship with the CCP and with China, and try and adjust that as much as you can. Because as we start to talk about Russia and Ukraine, Russia again as well has their hands in this issue with Russia and Ukraine, right? So they have their hands in all these things that are going on here. So we need to do everything that we can to, again, be reevaluating and adjusting the relationship that we have with the CCP, because the money that we're contributing to them is literally going back to fight our own ideology.
Oh, yeah.
Literally going back to fight our own ideals, not ideology. So it's not good. So this is one thing that is difficult, more difficult than I thought that it would be, but is a relatively simple thing that people can do to stop giving money to China, because even though it's an American company, the factories over there, the people over there, all that shit, it's being sourced from other countries around there. So I even was like, okay, when I found out about South Korea, I'm like, all right, South Korea is fine, like that's, at least it's not China,
Yeah, it's a westernized nation, westernized nation for the most part.
Nope, China.
China.
So that pair of black Vans will be the last pair of shoes that I buy for myself that are not made in America.
Man, I'm not looking forward to doing that. What's funny? My last pair of shoes that I got, those white and silver joints. They're made from neoprene. Those were made in a country that is not necessarily a bastion of freedom anymore.
Yeah,
they're Australian, but they are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna be trying to do the same thing. Luckily, I'm not in the market for a new pair of kicks yet.
Yeah, I got
but
time.
Soon enough, I will. And so I want to start looking at this, too, because I am not... It's the same reason why I try not to go to Walmart all the time and shit like that. Like, I'm trying... How did you put it? Or how does Eric July put it? Quit paying people...
who hate you.
Quit
giving money to people who hate you.
Yeah, I like the way that goes. There's no way to just do it outright.
No.
And everybody's going to be a hypocrite if that's what if that's the hill they die on. They're all going to be hypocrites, because you just can't do that anymore. Thank you, modern day modernity, for allowing us to get in this situation. That's a problem. We'll talk more about that, I think, later on in maybe the Russia-Ukraine stuff with some of the supply chain issues and whatnot that we're going to be facing. But that goes dark really, really quick.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm
You
going
think
to be.
it's hard to buy shoes now?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty soon those Jocko shoes aren't going to be $200; they're going to be $400. Oh, and I don't even want to. I'm not looking forward to that.
But that was an issue that I ran into this week. Yeah, trying to buy a pair of shoes that's fucking made in America.
That's rough,
and it's not like, and I don't expect it, but it's not like in a regular like department shoe store. You can be like, hey, can you point me to a pair of shoes that's made in America? Because people
They'll
who
look
work
at
there
you and be like, what are you?
You need a size 9. Bring me a shoe and ask me for a size, and I will give you that shoe in that size if we have it.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about materials, manufacturing, any of that shit. I don't know.
I don't understand.
Yeah, those are things that I don't think I can reasonably expect from someone who's working at one of those stores.
Get you some conflict shoes, bro.
That's what I'm saying. I would like some conflict-free shoes.
Right.
So some conflict-free sneakers, I think, would be a good place to start.
I want a red sneaker that's not dyed with the stains of slaves that built them. You know what I mean? We don't want that in this world.
We don't need any of that here.
No.
We also watched Monty Python this week in the Holy Grail. Jordan had never seen Monty Python, so we watched.
How did that go?
It was good. There's giggles. It's not.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I was like,
Monty
yeah,
Python is Monty
British
Python.
humor is.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it in a long time.
It's interesting.
So we watched a good majority of that. I told you last time I was here I was going to watch the Lemony Snicket show.
Yeah.
Because the movie was fucking terrible, right? The show, even worse than the movie.
No.
It's even worse. And the weird thing about it, they made 3 seasons of it. They did the entire series. They did every book. But the show doesn't get better. I watched 7 episodes, maybe 8 episodes of that show. It's terrible all the way from the start.
This is the one with Neil Patrick Harris?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Neil Patrick Harris is fucking dog shit.
Really?
Neil Patrick Harris is dog shit.
In this show?
As Count Olaf.
Okay.
Yes. Absolute
Why?
dog shit as Count Olaf.
Well,
first of all, he's super short. They refused.
Oh, yeah, because he needs to be super high, right?
In this show, they refused to character match at all. They're fucking race swapping. They're doing all kinds of shit that doesn't make any sense. Right?
Hollywood.
I am not opposed to changing somebody's race if you're going to have a different take on the story, or if it's going to affect the story in some way. I don't see the point in swapping someone's race just to race swap them, just to pander.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't. This book is a really good example. This is the one that I'm reading right now, The Wide Window, right? This is the 3rd book of the Lemony Snicket series. In this book, they describe Aunt Josephine as a tall, pale woman with white hair. They use a middle-aged black woman to be Aunt Josephine in the show. Why? That doesn't, which again, I don't have a problem with you choosing a black actor, but it doesn't add anything to the show. There's no point to that. There's no purpose to it other than representation. And I don't give a fuck about that. That's stupid. That's a dumbass reason to change what this show should have been, which is a reflection of this book. You know, the show should be a reflection of the book because it's made about the fucking book.
Yeah.
So if it's not going to add to the story, if they're not going to add more depth to the character because of it, because nothing else is different. All that's different is just the race and age of this character. Why?
And I'm really glad that you brought this up, because this has also been a really big conversation around the new Lord of the Rings show that's coming out.
Yes, Eric July's talked about this.
And to be perfectly honest, I generally don't care if they are trying to, unless, let's put it in this particular example, right? Unless the Aunt Josephine is her name.
Yes.
Unless that character, she's described as tall with white hair and whatever like this. If it doesn't change the story to have anyone else of any particular race or background play that character, as long as they're doing the rest of the characteristics the same, that's fine. And don't have a bunch of white kids as your children if you are not,
right.
Let's have it make sense a little bit like that. But for the most part, I don't have a problem if they start quote unquote race swapping.
Yeah.
If it doesn't have anything to do with the story, mind you, it's distasteful to me as a creative person to think that somebody is being race swapped because they need representation.
Right.
I don't want to jump to that assumption, even though everything about Hollywood over the last 2 decades has told me I should make that assumption. Because ultimately, if it doesn't come through on screen as like a pretentious, like, this is why I have this here. If it's right there, out in front, loud and proud, we're doing this because of fucking diversity,
Right.
then I generally don't have a problem with it. With Lord of the Rings, we're talking about elves and having black characters in, you know, the elven world, and in, like, apparently there's like a dwarf and all this stuff. Aren't historically of, you know, darker skin tones, although there are such a thing as like dark elves and this, that, and the other thing. But
Especially if you live underground.
yes, like,
If you live underground, you're going to be very pale.
yes, and so that's a whole thing. But when it comes to like everything I've seen from the Lord of the Rings, all the previews and stuff right now, I'm not really that concerned about a whole bunch of like forced racial diversity, because I don't really care. Like, I really don't care. We'll see how it comes out on screen, and then I'll interpret that how it's presented.
Right.
You know, and I'll deal with it then. I'm not going to get all up in arms now. I have a feeling that the show's going to suck because it is a modern day money grab trying to cash in on a massive, you know, intellectual property that has historically been very, very successful.
Right.
And I'm not a fan of that, but I'm open to new fantasies and shit like that. And the other thing that really pisses me off about all this conversation about racial swapping and stuff like that, not even just racial, but it's all the woke categories. You know, all the intersectional categories. We saw some of it in the Wheel of Time series. Some same-sex romances in the show that do not even come close to existing in the book whatsoever. Why is that there? Just because. And that's something I get pissed off about. That's dumb. It has nothing to do with the storyline. But in this case, I don't know. We'll find out. But these people that are getting all offended about this shit generally are not the nerds that can sit down and have a 4-hour conversation about Lord of the Rings.
Right.
You know, these are people that are they're having a fight because they want to have a fight.
Right.
That's what this is to me right now. The fucking show's not out yet. You can't tell me that it's forced diversity or not yet, because you can't tell that till the show comes out.
Right.
You know, not all elves have to be white, dude. And there's a long storied history in fantasy of having different shades of people in all sorts of races, man. I mean, like, even in like the orc realm, like green, black,
brown,
even, you know,
like
all sorts of shit, man. It's like, it doesn't matter. These people are stupid. We're having this pop culture conversation around race right now about something that may or may not be a problem.
Right.
We'll wait until the property comes out, and then we should figure it out. That's what reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got all uppity about that.
No.
What is it called? Rings of Power?
I don't
Ring
know.
of Power? Have you not seen the trailer?
No, I've heard Eric July talk about it. I don't have much time for new shows.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're pretty tapped on time right now.
I mixed this one in at work because it was episodes of like 30 minutes or whatever, you know, so I was watching it. But
I'm interested in this one. It's the Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power. It's a series on Amazon Prime coming out September 2nd, and it is essentially like the precursor, the prequels to The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
So this was well before all that stuff happened.
Huh?
Yeah. Kind of like in the, I think it's the Silmarillion book is like a pre-Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. It's a very long, complicated history, this whole J.R.R. Tolkien world. It goes deep.
Yeah, he's got a whole lore. He's got
yeah. It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, and I think my only deal, right, is because I'm into this book. I'm into these books. I'm a fan of this series.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see shit like that, maybe it's just because I'm politically minded, you know? I see it and I just get frustrated because you're taking me out of the story for no reason. That's not what this character is described as looking like. So
yeah, I
have to wonder, what is the reason that you chose someone other than someone who fits the description of the character?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not, this is objective, but in my opinion, it's not because she's a good actress, because the actress who plays Aunt Josephine is fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
And it's not Aunt Josephine, Uncle Monty. These are like Uncle Colin and Auntie Morgan. They're not their blood family, and most of them they're family by marriage. They're just all part of like the parents, and all these people are part of like a secret group together. And so they've been introduced as Aunt Josephine, Uncle Monty, and shit like that. But I have to, like I said, I have to wonder why it was done. And when it wasn't done for any easily discernible reason, then I have to assume that it was done as an intentional race swap just to add diversity to it, because I can't see another reason why you would do it. Because they did the same thing with Uncle Monty. They made him, he's supposed to be an older white guy. They made him a middle-aged Indian dude. Why? For what? Right? Again, I don't care that you chose a person of a different color. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm
not offended that you chose a person of color. I don't understand why you would do it when the person isn't a totally fantastic actor, and it's not adding or taking anything away from this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
It's like on the T chart of like, is this woke or is this just an actor?
I gotta imagine
it's all
woke.
starting to add up towards woke.
One, NPH is your Count Olaf. NPH woke as fuck.
Yeah,
so
he is.
It's not like he's gonna just stand by and let everyone be white, on the TV show, and he's not gonna fucking say anything about it. Like, hey, maybe we should add some diversity to this, even though maybe we fucking picked all the people who were the best actors that actually fit into the description of the fucking character.
Don't bring meritocracy into this, Donovan. How dare you?
I'm just not a fan of that, I know that it's done for a reason. It's Hollywood. It wasn't an accident. You chose someone who was brown or black on purpose. It wasn't an accident,
All right, so on that note, I have this fucking perfect
I just read
segue,
about this
bro.
morning.
This is fantastic. Stacey Abrams makes a cameo as United Earth president on the new Star Trek Discovery show. Stacey Abrams, who has never won a single election, is now president of the United Earth on Star Trek. Why is Stacey Abrams, who is not an actor, who is not a politician, who is not anything but an activist, why is she getting cameos in Star Trek?
So that we can get used to seeing her in a position of power.
Power. That's what it is. We got to get comfortable with that on a cultural level.
Know that she is the winner. She is the United Earth president, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, and I also
because Brian Kemp, or whatever his name was,
Brian Kemp.
That's who it was. Yeah, because
the
Brian
governor
Kemp fucked her over. And
governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, and is still the governor of Georgia. And actually, yeah. And let's just make this very clear: Stacey Abrams, to this day, insists that the election was stolen from her. And
straight to jail.
And she is the legitimate governor of Georgia, and she has been riding that tact for, what, 3 years now? Yeah, but no, she gets on a Hollywood show. That's cool.
Straight to jail, Stacey Abrams.
Straight
How
to
dare
jail.
you question the legitimacy of an American election?
Yeah, if you were in Washington State, our governor would throw you in prison.
You in jail. Straight to jail with you.
Straight to jail.
That is awesome.
See, this is funny because it makes me feel lazy now. I didn't watch that much this week. I watched. There's this YouTube channel I've been watching. It's called Black Magic Craft. Magic Craft, I think. And he's like a scenery crafter dude.
Okay.
My little Gundam diorama and stuff I've been working on. Well, I don't think I really pimped this much on the show last time, but one of my coworkers brought in this really dope skeleton model that he painted up.
Okay.
And so I'm going to be making a little bit of a diorama stand, a cool little display for this guy. And so I've been watching that, off and on, usually right before I go to bed or something like that. Put on an episode or two, 10, 15 minutes, and try to get some creative juices flowing. But we did watch, I think we told you this right before we started recording, we watched Rush Hour. The original Rush Hour with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. And, oh, my God, you could not make that movie today. It is hilarious.
Right.
But there are Jackie Chan dropping hard R's, dude.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yeah, hard R N-bombs. And because it's like a skit thing. He hears Chris Tucker say that to Chris Tucker's friends, who he knows and all this stuff. And so Jackie Chan he's there, he's new, he comes out and he's, what's up, That's
awesome.
And then a giant bar fight proceeds to happen. And then he kicks everybody's ass.
Because he's Jackie Chan.
Because he's Jackie Chan.
He's fucking Jackie Chan. That's awesome.
So Jackie Chan drops hard R N-bombs and then beats the shit out of everybody in the bar. That's a scene in the movie of Rush Hour, and it's perfect, and it's hilarious.
Hate crime. Straight to jail. Straight to jail with Stacey Abrams.
Yes, but I forgot, dude. That movie is
awesome.
so fucking funny, and it's still so good. And then they have all like the bloopers and stuff at the end of all the Jackie Chan movies where they show him like there's like a scene where he jumps up and like drop kicks somebody over top of this chair and then lands in this comfy chair. Well, he missed it the first time. He fell right on his tailbone, right on the edge. And no, don't touch me. Oh man, but yeah, watch that movie. Don't sleep on the old Rush Hour movie.
Hell yeah.
It's fucking great. I think we're gonna try to watch the one Jackie Chan did with Owen Wilson, the Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Nights.
Shanghai Noon. Yes,
Yeah.
those are great.
That was great. Yeah, the Shanghai Noon is it's the Western one, and then the other one is like in same time
they're in
period,
the
but over in
UK,
the
I
UK.
think, yeah.
And it's kind of like Imperial China meets Imperial UK at the time.
Right.
Very, very fun. Very cool. Good themes.
Owen Wilson plays a cowboy, right?
Yeah.
Some form of Western man. I don't know whether he's a sheriff or a fucking...
And they're basically the same exact movies.
Right.
It's just different.
Yeah.
One's a timepiece and one's back in the 90s. You know,
What a time. What a time to be alive. That
Right?
you could make 4 movies all with the same plot, just in a different country.
They made 3 Rush Hours, bro.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yes, and I remember there's the one when one of them they're in China, maybe Rush Hour 3, and there's a big fight in like a spa.
I think so.
When they're like in robes and shit like that, and there's all the chairs that are in the room. Yes.
Let's see. Oh, I did
that
not
one.
type that in correctly. Rush Hour 3. Oh, man. Miami. Why is IMDb not? Oh, I'm spelling Rush with a CH apparently. Rush Hour 3. There we go. Come on, IMDb. Give me a little hookup. 2007 they made that movie.
Jeez. Is the first one like late 90s?
Yes.
Maybe very early 2000s?
I think
like
it's
2001?
98. Yeah, I think that is the one where they go to, they're in China. And then, yeah, the original Rush Hour. I feel bad because I should have had this pulled up already, but it is 1998. 1998, dude. Wow. Man, that's such a good movie. God, I was not disappointed. But that's really the only thing I watched over the last 2 weeks. Other than that, it's been busy.
For it.
Yeah. Okay. Any more pop culture stuff? Because I have some hunting news to talk about.
One last thing I wanted to bring up. Yes. Fauci reappeared.
I fucking heard this.
He reappeared yesterday. He reappeared yesterday on the ABC News podcast.
Like a leprechaun, dude. It must have rained, and there must have been a rainbow.
And he was talking about, of course, spreading more misinformation. He was talking about, only 50% of people have the booster, and so like it's a very big concern for us. People stop getting the booster. Then they started talking about the new variant, and he was saying that the Brits are having an issue with it, even though the issue that they're having is that their hospitalizations are going up. But because they're not classifying them correctly, it's hard to decide who's there with COVID and because of COVID. So we're going to have to find another way to reclassify and decide because, when he gets asked, like, so are people going to have to start wearing masks again? Like, are we going to do this? And he said, I think people are kind of over COVID. He says that. He says, so I don't think it's really going to be worth it to try and enforce this type of shit anymore because I think people are kind of over it, So that's where we're at, huh? We're just, it's out the window now. People are over it. I'm not even going to try. They're not going to listen anymore, so we're going to stop trying.
Let's face it, bro. Let's be real. We knew COVID-19 was just a social construct all along. It was all just a part of us.
Brad Milkey also.
Fucking Milky.
He says something to the effect, I know for sure, he says this, most people have either had the infection or they've been immunized from the vaccine. Mm-hmm. The vaccine does not immunize you from this virus, nor the disease. No. You're not immunized if you get the vaccine. No. Fauci says nothing. No correction of it at all, even though they're actually talking about people who have the shot can get COVID. You're not immunized if you get the COVID-19 vaccine. That is not how this works. You are vaccinated from it. You have some immunity to it. You have some form of immunity to it. You are not immune from this virus.
Maybe that's a colloquial term. Like, you have some form of immunization. Like, it's like when, well, actually, that makes sense when he said it. Aaron Rodgers was talking about, are you vaccinated? He's like, I'm immunized. Because you do get some kind of immunization. Yeah. Right? In low-level doses. According to all the statistics at this point, it's just low level.
I'm not giving it to him.
It's probably not
giving it to him. No, fuck you, Brad Milkey.
Do it. Yeah, especially if Milky's saying it.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's pretty much it.
I almost forgot about those Milky podcasts that I had to listen to. I listened to them this morning.
Really bad, right? We listened to them last night.
Got really angry.
Took myself a page of notes on it. Woo-hoo-hoo. So I have some from the first interview and from the second interview. Not good.
And I think I listened to them in the perfect order, which was good because I listened to, there was 2 of them all about this, the the bill that we'll talk about in part 3 of 4 today. And I listened to the one from the bill creator first, the guy that helped author it and write it and stuff like that. And then
write the bill. He wrote
the bill. 7-page bill, which we will be going over today. It's 7 pages.
Double spaced.
Yes.
And we're reading it last night, or like we're listening to this, and I'm telling Jordan about it. I'm talking about it, and I said, it is 7 pages, double spaced.
Spaced, bro.
We're on our way to dinner. I said, I read it before we left the house. It's like, it's not like, so all these people saying this stuff, I said, it's not like it takes you 5 hours to read it.
Yep.
So it takes you 5 minutes to read it, 10 if you want to really read it and take some notes maybe and like reread things to make sure they're reading it correctly. It takes you 5 minutes to read this, and you could see that it doesn't say the things that you're claiming that it says.
Not even close. I can't.
No.
I can't with that.
We'll get into that a lot later. The theme for this show is propaganda.
Indeed.
American propaganda. So we'll be talking about a little bit at the end of this, and then we will be giving you, at the end of every part, why propaganda is relevant to this topic. So, Juicy Smollett, do you want to talk about this, or do you want to move on to laws, right?
Let's, real quick, Juicy Smollett. He was recently released from prison after being found guilty of the hate crime.
He was in the Mighty Ducks. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. And he's also in Alien Covenant, unfortunately. He dies in a sex scene in a shower. So there's that.
Fuck you, Juicy Smollett.
Yeah, fuck you, Juicy Smollett. But yeah, he went to jail for approximately, 5 days before he was released. And the going reasoning for his release was he was sentenced to 150 days in jail, and
plus a big ass fine.
And a big ass fine, yeah, which I do believe he will have to pay. Period. But his appeals process will take longer than his prison sentence, and so pending the outcome of his appeal, he is released from jail. Because by the time you even get to the hearing and stuff, you've got time served, and then all of a sudden you win your appeal, and now the state has to give you 150 days worth of money and shit. Yes. Oh so they let him go.
Fuck
and now
you.
He's out. And if you don't call that Hollywood, or I don't know, it's not Hollywood bigger than that. It's just the elite. That is the special route of justice that a privileged elite gets to enjoy in America. Nobody else gets to do that shit. 5 days in jail, you're sitting there crying, you're refusing to eat, you're telling people that you're not suicidal. You say that enough times, people are going to start asking questions, buddy. And he knew exactly what he was fucking doing. This piece of shit is out of jail already. No lessons learned. It's fine. He just gets to go on. I guarantee you he's going to be back on TV or back in movies within probably the next couple of years. And it'll just be done, and he'll be back to making millions. No big deal.
Yeah, but Colin, if he was white, he wouldn't have done any jail time.
You know, that's a very good point, Donovan. I always forget all the white privilege that we have.
If he was white, he would not have done any jail time. They would never even have put handcuffs on him.
That's right. They probably would have shot the friends that tried to hang him. It was just,
yes.
It's so ridiculous, man.
That's awesome.
Everything about this. And we wonder why we're the laughing stock of the world.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's because of that. So on that lovely note.
Faking a hate crime definitely makes you a piece of shit.
Yes, it does.
Definitely makes you a piece of shit.
Oh, and it's so much worse than remember the NASCAR pole rope incident?
Yes.
Where there was
Bubba
a pole
Wallace.
rope and Bubba Wallace's thing, and it's like a rope that comes down on the high garage door that has a loop on it, so you could pull the thing down, and
over half of the bays at that facility.
And the next thing you know, fucking the FBI is showing up, and the hate crime unit's out here. We're not in a good spot, buddy.
He's like, it was a straight up noose. He said that. It was a straight up noose. What are you talking about?
It's like, do you know what a noose looks like?
Someone
dude?
ties
it's
a
a very
noose
intricate knot.
It's so small, it's just a threat.
Yes.
It's just to terrify you, a grown man. Another grown man thinks that tying a very small noose at the end of your garage pull cord is going to be so fucking scary, you're going to stop driving NASCAR. That makes so much sense. God, that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense.
What a fucking idiot. That is so stupid. If you ever believe Bubba Wallace, you're dumb. I'm saying it right now. You're dumb.
I think much like the story that I'm about to talk about, which is not in the racial aspect of things, right? It has nothing to do with woke culture or any of that. Well, some of it does. But we have a problem in society now, and it's called media literacy.
Yes.
How many times do we think Instagram is a really, really bad spot? I don't know why. Maybe it's just I have a harder time spotting things on Instagram because I don't live on Instagram like I do Twitter. Yeah. Twitter, it's easy to spot shit. I'm like, this is bullshit. This
Twitter's
is dumb.
Your shit, yeah.
Right? But like I've experienced so many things coming, people send us things like that, and then after you look into it for a second, you're like, this is all just bullshit, dude. I'm not getting caught up by this. We've been victim of this more than a couple times, here and there.
Yes.
This, much like the Jussie Smollett incident and the Bubba Wallace incident, was a bunch of moral panic right off the bat by something that wasn't confirmed to be true.
Okay.
People made a bunch of assumptions, this, that, and the other thing. One of my greatest loves in life, besides my wife and my dogs and you and your family,
yes,
is hunting, obviously, right? I'm a huge, huge fan.
You and your brother both.
Last November 2021, there's a lot of scuttlebutt flown around on the Instagram and on the social medias in the hunting world about Washington State, the WDFW,
Washington Department of
Fish and Wildlife. Yeah. For some reason, I could not think of that. The Fish and Wildlife.
It's different in every state, which is fucked up.
Yes, it is. But yeah, the WDFW Commission is a group of like 9 people that are appointed, and they make laws and regulations for hunting and fishing, along with all the other non-game species and stuff, wildlife management. Scuttlebutt was that in November, they were going to have a commission meeting, and they were going to be essentially removing a bear hunting season in Washington State. A particular one is called spring bear, and it's one of the most popular bear hunting seasons.
It's your bear hunting season, spring bear.
It's the season I've always wanted, but it is a lottery system that you do not get. It's roughly every 3-4 years. You'll get a shot to do it.
I've definitely heard you talk about spring bear before.
I have submitted for spring bear every single year that I've hunted.
That must be it.
I've never gotten that motherfucker.
Yeah.
So this was going to be my year, and it still might be, as it turns out, because the scuttlebutt on the Instagram was the commission was going to meet and they were going to outlaw spring bear, and everybody ran with that.
Yeah.
And then it turned out, a few weeks later, it started to come across, actually, they're going to be having a meeting, and they will be open for public comment. So if you're a hunter, get in there, get your comments submitted, and then they will be heard, and so on and so forth.
Just like we did with guns.
Exactly. Except for the fact that in this particular case, it actually looks like it's going to work out. Unlike anything else that has to do with the Second Amendment in this state, automatically just throw that piece of legislation in the trash. If it's about freeing gun rights, if it's about honing down on them, you don't even bother with the Congress. Just give it to the Lord Emperor Inslee. So yeah, I did a bunch of reading on this, and I discovered ultimately that it was decided last meeting, which was in early March, 2 weeks ago, that they were going to table the discussion on spring bear, a decision on the spring bear until this meeting that's actually happening right now on Zoom. But one of the commissioners, after this whole concept came up, one of the commissioners on the board actually resigned after all of the public outcry to this. And so now, where there was essentially a 4-4 split because somebody is not voting, there's 9 members on the commission. What was a 4-4 split and tied it up is now a 4-3 split in favor of continuing the season. So as of, they're meeting all weekend. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think, something like that. Might be meeting Sunday too. But today is the day they decide on the spring bear, and it looks as if it's going to pass.
Hell yeah.
And then next, I think it's in April, the next meeting, they will decide on the actual numbers, how many lotteries they're going to be putting out, and then people like me will be able to apply, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't know, because the spring bear season it's literally, it's going to be close. Usually I feel like in the past I've applied by now. So I'm a little nervous about maybe the timing won't work out. We won't have a spring bear season this year. It looks as if we're supposed to. but we'll see.
Yeah.
Other than that, it doesn't look like it's going to be gone in the future. So that is a plus.
Let me ask you, the makeup of the board is not favorable to hunters.
No,
right?
Not generally.
And that's what I thought. I've heard Tracy talk about that as well, because Tracy's obviously huge into fishing and stuff like that. And so, yeah, he's talked about the people that are on there they're not hunters. They're like maybe biologists or something, but they're not in ways that. And there seems to be publicly, there is. I know because I used to be part of it. There is a huge misunderstanding of hunters in general, but also in the amount that they contribute to conservation itself. And the level that hunters actually care about animals and don't just want to murder them. Like it's very misunderstood. And Stephen Ranella talks about that constantly. And he's made the claim and defended it many times of telling people, he said, I would guarantee that I love these deer more than you love these deer.
100%.
And I think that that's very true.
It is very true. And
the non-hunting public do not see it that way. They're unable to comprehend how you could kill something, but also say that you love it more than someone who doesn't want to kill it loves it. And
they just don't understand that.
It's because when you're contributing to that system, all of the money that you're paying for your licenses, for your ammunition, there's pieces that come out of your gun sales, out of your ammunition sales, that go into conservation. All of that money is going directly back into conserving the environment and the species that you're hunting itself.
Yes,
it's all going.
It goes all right back in. Even the ammunition that you buy goes to do that. But you know what type of sales do not contribute to that fund? Backpacks, backpacking, and certain hiking gear does not, which is hilariously ironic because hikers actually kill more animals every year than hunters do.
Just fucking up their environment.
Let's put it this way: you are.
Oh, and just getting spooked by an animal. Yeah, that makes sense.
You spook an animal, a deer, like a male deer, a buck out there who has to every single year grow brand new bones, bigger than last year, and then they fall off again, and he's got to do the whole thing again. And the entire time he's trying to eat as much as he can so he can actually grow those weapons so that he can fight against other people that are going to try to steal his women.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. And then you only get so many extra spooks per year. We'll put it that way, because your metabolic rate increases when the adrenaline starts to pump and you have that fight or flight reaction. They spook. There's calories lost. They can't. No. They will lose calories they can't afford to lose.
Okay.
And then most likely in the wintertime, as food starts to dwindle, they will die.
Words.
Or they will become sickly enough that predators will take them out or something like that. But
that's very interesting. I never considered that.
Yeah. You only get so many spooks. And then you're basically signing a death sentence. So more hikers every single year kill more deer than hunters do, which is a wild concept.
I can't imagine the adrenaline dump of a deer when they're trying to get away,
Yeah, I can't imagine.
That's probably insane.
I wouldn't want to experience that. I'll put that much.
10-foot fences and shit.
And I don't have daggers coming on my head as weapons. I have guns on me, and I still get freaked out when you hear certain things, or if you're tromping around some areas up in the mountains and all of a sudden there's like cougar prints everywhere, and then you're finding like cougar poop, and you're going, I just really don't feel comfortable right now. I feel like somebody's watching me. Somebody's hungry.
Yeah.
So it's good news. The new commissioner of the WDFW commission, it is thought that she is a very anti-hunting tilt, comes out of a conservation background. As you previously alluded to, having a conservation background doesn't mean necessarily you are against hunting. I know a lot of, I'm probably the biggest conservationist I know. And I'm the only one of our friends that actually hunts and kills its food when we have a chance.
Yes.
So it is a weird dichotomy, but you really don't have a true appreciation for the struggle of an animal like that and the food that you get from it until you actually have to go out there and try to take care of business yourself.
I wonder if Morgan would hunt an animal.
No, I don't think so. I do not think so. I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation before. I've tried to convince her, it's literally the most humane way to get any kind of meat. And she said, if that's the case, I'd rather be a vegetarian or a pescatarian or something like that.
Yeah.
It's much easier for a lot of people not to, because it's a religious experience from an unreligious guy to be like that close to a large animal as you kill it.
Yeah.
And then you're splitting it open Donner Party style, bro, and getting at the vitals and the good stuff.
Right.
And then next thing you know, you
brain
go,
and liver in a pan.
yeah. And then you go back to the camp at night and you're sticking a fucking that deer heart over the fire and roasting it and then chowing right into it.
His wife watches from across the valley, not from right next to you, though.
Dude, okay.
It's just like, bastard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all I'm saying, guys. If you're, I don't care if you're reading the book or not, but you need to be watching this month's book club when it comes out at the end of the month because it's fucking powerful.
The review preview.
The review preview.
Yeah.
It right here on the Salt of the Streets channel be coming out the 1st of April.
Yeah, then we're going to do
so good.
Then we'll do a split release. Review one day, preview next day, because we ran late into the show doing the review part of the book. So
that's because the review was fucking powerful.
It was lit.
Yeah, it was so good. But yeah, I also, one last little tidbit, just kind of slightly related.
Yes.
I am now a licensed trapper in the state of Washington.
Hell yeah!
I took my test last night and I passed it, and I should have, apparently it's all reviewed manually.
Yeah.
So I won't get my email with my PDF license until Monday or Tuesday, but then the other one will be in the mail. And then I have a quest to go trap some beavers.
I love it.
Because I have some friends and family that have beaver problems, and the only way to do it in the state is to trap them. And so now I could do that, and then I could license and sell pelts and things like that. So that might be fun.
That's awesome.
Word.
And I already planted the seed in the wife's head, my wife, that if not this year, because it might be a little bit of a close call, the next year I got to get out with you for a deer hunt at least once during that season. I gotta start getting it going. Especially if we move, we'll be hunting way more. Because that's just gonna be how it goes. But you know, if it's only the two of us in a lonesome state all by ourselves, like we're going. We need to go.
Need to go now.
Yes.
We're not gonna make it.
Yeah. But I'm
Donner Party style.
I'm really trying to get some deer hunts under the belt. I'm really trying to get some deer hunts under the belt.
I think it would be advantageous for us to do a little weekender, bring you up into the mountains, no trail style.
Yep.
And get that under your belt first, and then we'll do it with an extra fucking 10 pounds of gear and shit on you too, because that's fun.
Yes,
that would be good. Yee.
Yeah, I have one article here that I want to go over real quick, and then we can move on. We can take our break and move on.
Like I'm going to put my show map up. I feel like I'm forgetting things.
Yeah, no. Where we just have a local legislative wrap up is all that I wrote.
That's right.
So I have a bill here that's from crosscut.com. And it just goes over
so it's like a very legitimate platform.
5 major things the Washington legislature approved in 2022. Do you want me to send you this article?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just give me 1 second here.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to have to pull up the signal because I didn't update yet. Ayo. What else did I have while you're looking that up? Oh, the Sunshine Protection Act. Protection Act. That's a grab bagger, actually. That's a part 4 or 4.
Oh, about...
Fucking daylight savings time.
Yeah, daylight savings.
Because screw daylight savings times, bro. Yes. I got emotional about it this year. I will tell you that right now.
That's really funny.
I'm like, I'm getting up and I'm going, you know what? Why am I getting up an extra hour early so that I can have so it could be light at 8 o'clock at night? I don't give a shit. I'm not trying to do anything at 8 o'clock.
None of this makes sense.
Trying to work earlier in the light. It's all fucked.
Soccer called it low T activities.
Low T.
Yeah, he said they just want to do this so people can do more low T activities, like go out to the bar and go drinking and shit like that.
How is this a low T activity,
I thought
Soccer?
It was really
just because you're not cool enough to hang out.
The way that he described it, as a low T activity.
He's fucking jealous is what he is. I don't know why.
That's the I have discovered and decided, because we've asked many times about what makes him a conservative. What is this? He's socially conservative. That's all that it is.
Yeah.
He doesn't agree with drinking. I don't know whether or not he drinks. He doesn't smoke pot, and he doesn't agree with it. I've heard him say that. So he doesn't think people should be smoking weed. He said. And he called it weed, right? That's how I know. That's how I know you're behind the times, when you're still calling it weed.
Smoking weed?
Yes.
Electric lettuce.
So he's not into drugs. I don't know whether or not he's into alcohol. But yeah, he's obviously just socially conservative. And that's the only thing that really makes him a conservative. Because more than once over the last 2 weeks, I have heard Crystal Ball say nationalize the oil industry, and heard very little pushback from Saagar. Maybe it's because he's like, that's unrealistic, so I'm not going to address it. But it seems like
Crystal's just saying some shit again.
it seems like, I don't know, like you should address it. Like you should at least be like, well, that's very unrealistic, or like something, you know? I don't know.
I feel like, you know, if I was to say something fucking wild like that, you'd be like, all right, well, let's be realistic about this for a second, all right?
What do you think makes him conservative?
I don't.
Oh, you don't think he's conservative?
I don't think he's conservative. I think he has a couple conservative tendencies.
Yeah.
A true socially conservative person. Like, to me, like his teetotaler aspect of things, that is a conservative aspect.
Yeah.
But, you know, with his, I'm pretty sure he's very, very open to most other things socially. He's relatively against a overrunning, like a flooded social safety net, welfare state. I think he's, but you know, anybody with true common sense would be an over-bloated welfare state is not good, right? And so that's not really conservative. That's just not being stupid. And then other than that, like, I don't understand why he's conservative. He likes more Republicans than Democrats, maybe.
Right.
He's not a far left progressive like Crystal is, but if this was the 1980s, he's a blue dog Democrat.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. I mean, he probably doesn't believe in gay marriage, but just would not ever say that out loud. And
probably would never think that you should legislate on it. You know, doesn't think it's the government's responsibility.
Exactly. But that's me taking an assumption based off his thing. So you don't even have to make the assumption to just use like his teetotalerness, and then the fact that he will entertain government involvement in any industry,
Everything.
much less everything.
Yeah.
He's not a conservative. Period. In my eyes, anyways.
I would love to sit down and interview that guy.
Me too.
Like, Lemmy, what's
I'm
all
sure
this about? Like,
he's a
what's
fucking
going on here?
awesome guy.
He probably is.
He seems like an awesome guy and I'm pretty
Very
sure he's
smart.
like super nerdy too.
Extremely intelligent.
Yes.
Yeah, extremely intelligent.
So I don't want to talk that kind of shit on him.
No.
But I just think he's not a conservative, dude.
Right.
Take the suit off, relax a little bit, maybe unbutton, keep the long sleeve button down, just take the tie off, take the jacket off,
You're not in the White
you're
House
good.
anymore.
Yes.
You're not in the
Act
White
like
House
you're
press
Obama
building.
in the White House. Very, loose,
Let's see a beige
business
suit.
casual.
Let's see a beige suit.
Okay. No, I can't make that. I can't say that. I can't do that. I was at Kamala Harris during the State of the Union, picked a really bad suit color too. Did not work for her.
Yeah.
Mind you, Nancy Pelosi's sitting next to her wearing some fucking 90s neon colors. Yeah, doing the Adderall grinds.
She was jacking her jaw. Yeah, it was not good.
She is a crazy person. I don't know what kind of drug she's on, but Saagar could probably use a few of them.
It's like, I don't know, probably some type of new cocaine pill that lasts longer than if you snort it, you know?
It's super Adderall is what it is.
She's had to sit in the one spot the whole time, you know? Yeah, it's probably just Vivance or some shit. It's just fucking, just some
Just
real
pops them like they're
heavy-
fucking Tic Tacs.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. That and, a couple bottles of Chardonnay, you'll be feeling real
It's like
good.
10 o'clock over there. You know how you're going to stay
No.
awake that late if you're fucking 90 years old.
All them people, man, they're so used to staying up till like 4 a.m, writing or voting on like amendments and shit as they go through the night. They're all 1,000.
You have to be on drugs.
Yeah, dude, they have to. Old people don't do that shit. They go to bed at 4, like Joe Biden does.
Right. There's no way.
Who was that? Trevor Noah? Did you catch that clip at all? Trevor Noah floating around talking about Biden, basically not having the phone call with the Saudis about like just not answering their phone calls and like they can't get a hold of the American president, and he's like, that would have never happened if Donald Trump was in there.
Yes,
He'd be up, blah blah blah. He's like, Biden's in bed by 4 o'clock. It's probably not untrue, dude.
Probably not. No.
Because we know what happens when he gets on TV after 4. It don't go so well. He's an early morning dude.
The sundowning, as they say, is not good. It's pretty real. So this is the article that we pulled up from Crosscut that is 5 of the big legislative polls from this year. So the first one is a bigger than usual budget increase. The supplemental budget the legislature approved on Thursday's increased state spending to about $64 billion over 2 years, an increase of roughly $5 billion from the budget lawmakers approved last April. April. It's not even been an entire year. But we still need access to federal funds. We still have leftover COVID money, but we still need to add 8% to our budget.
I don't.
In less than a year. The 8% spending increase isn't being paid for through new taxes, but instead through existing tax collections, which state officials now predict will come in much higher than previously projected.
What does that even mean?
On top of that, lawmakers are doling out more than $1 billion in unspent federal COVID relief money, with large portions of that aid going back towards schools, housing programs, and public health. So then what the fuck is the rest of our money going to?
Yeah.
Where's the rest of the dollars going if you're spending $1 billion in COVID money? Where's the rest of the money going to? Am I going to see a rapid, insane increase in the quality of public health, the housing programs, our schools? Am I going to be able to buy a house this year because you just invested $1 billion of my own tax dollars already into the housing industry?
Nope.
Are you going to do something to curb any of this insane market that's going on? Or are we just going to...
Nope.
We're going to argue about districting in Seattle for another year is what you're saying. Oh, now I understand. I get it. We're going to debate.
All those meetings are very, very expensive. That's
I got it.
All those tiny homes, you know how they get trashed every year because you can't just give homeless people homes and then that solves the problem. So it continues to cost lots of money. These things are very expensive. I am suddenly realizing now that anybody in the state of Washington that grew accustomed to spending their child tax credit or their extra income from the unemployment insurance and all that, they got the idea from the government.
Yeah.
They're doing that with federal funds that aren't it. Why are they budgeting federal funds that were handed out during the pandemic? That doesn't make any sense. That's money you don't have.
Right.
That should go back to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I'm rightly offended.
and the only appropriate, in my mind, the only appropriate way to deal with that $1 billion would be to distribute it back to the people of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Cut it back into COVID checks and send it out again because it's my fucking tax money that you took from me that you didn't do anything with.
Yep.
Even though at the time you said you needed more. It wasn't enough. You needed more. It was vital. You need still access to federal COVID dollars. You know, it's vital that we do more COVID spending, right? Because they're still arguing for that. There's a whole kerfuffle that they took the COVID money out of the last spending package, right? Nice. And so now, even though we need more money for COVID, we still need access to federal funds, and that's why we can't give them the emergency powers. We're going to take this $1 billion of COVID money that we need more of, and we're going to put it right back into the state. Love it. Makes so much sense.
Yeah, if they were an individual, no financial institution would give them a penny. Because this is ridiculous. Anyways, that's great. That's good. So massive spending.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a big one.
What else we got?
$351 million to caring for adults with developmental disabilities and other long-term care needs, while transferring more than $200 billion to help pay for states' new transportation package, which we'll get to at the bottom. Obviously, I don't have a problem with caring for adults with disabilities and people with long-term care needs. However, they fucking passed a tax that they had to delay. Yeah. That's the very next one.
Yeah, we never really talked about that, did we?
No, we didn't. They passed a tax. I only found out about it because Nikki came around and said, hey, you wouldn't need it. Said, you don't have long-term care insurance, right? I said, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I said, there's a new tax. She said, yeah, so we're going to take a little bit more of your check every month, and we're going to set it aside for you so that if you need long-term care at the end of your life, because it's definitely still going to be there. If you need long-term care at the end of your life and you don't have it, we're going to have the money for you. It's going to work out just like Social Security does. It's all going to be there. We're going to pay for everything, even though you're probably still going to have a job after you retire because your Social Security is shit or won't even be there.
Again,
excellent.
Do you know what they would call that in the private sector? A Ponzi scheme. That's they would call it a Ponzi scheme. Money for now, so that you might get it later.
So this is for delaying the long-term care tax. Last year, more than 450,000 people said no thanks to the state's new long-term care program by taking advantage of a one-time chance to opt out of the program and its 0.58% payroll tax. The long-term care program, commonly called Washington Cares, is supposed to provide up to $36,500 per person over their lifetime to help pay for nursing care and other services people may need as they age.
Is
$36,000?
Yeah. Is that before inflation or after?
Why?
Because that ain't going to be worth shit by the time I need elder care, $36,000 is not going to be worth anything.
And if I need someone to stay in my house, right, they're going to make more than $36,000 a year. So what is that going to pay for fucking 5 months of them living there with me? What are you talking about?
Yeah. And not to even mention the fact that this is just it is forced welfare program here that you don't really get the option to choose, because the only way to opt out of this tax, if I do recall correctly, because we had the conversation at my office,
It's to get your own.
is to get your own.
Yes.
Just like in that, otherwise you get automatically signed up for the tax.
And so now there's almost 500,000 people who got their own insurance, and now they're delaying the tax anyway because so many people don't want it. So there's almost 500,000 people that got their own insurance. Now they don't even fucking need it because this thing is probably going to get overturned anyway.
Yep.
Isn't it
Imagine
beautiful?
that. God, again, why does anybody give these people money?
And it's
This
not
is
gonna,
insane.
It says that now under House Bill 1732, the long-term care payroll tax won't take effect until 2023, with the first benefits slated to be paid out by July 2026.
Wow. So they got to save 3 years of collections to be able to put out one payment.
I wonder if I get this money back if I move. If I move to a different state, do I get this money back? Do I get a tax rebate?
No.
Of whatever percentage of my money you've collected over this time that I'm now not going to benefit from because I don't live in this state? Do I get to take that money with me? Or are you going to give me a check? Or is that just going to roll back into the general fund and some other fucking schmuck who decided to stay here like a dumbass, he gets that money now instead?
Yeah.
That's fucking
That's
ridiculous.
how that works. Yeah, the taxes
Up to $36,000.
taxes are not like a thing that you put in, track, and get an ROI. No, you're extorted to pay the government X amount of dollars, and they justify it by saying, well, it's the bet. We all got to contribute. We all got to contribute. So they take the money from you, and then you get zero say, other than through legislative means of how that money is spent. You don't get it back if they don't spend it. None of that doesn't exist. Okay.
Fuck you.
None of that stuff is happening.
The next one that we've talked about before is a ban on large capacity gun magazines in the final week of the 2022 session. After deceiving everybody by introducing it, it's 17 rounds and then amending it to 10. It doesn't say that, but that's the truth. Washington state lawmakers approved a ban on selling large capacity, standard capacity magazines for guns, a policy that has stalled in Olympia for half a decade. Governor Jansley is expected to sign Senate Bill 5078 into law soon. The legislation sought by State Attorney General Bob Ferguson will prohibit the sale, manufacturing, and distribution of magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. Large capacity magazines that Washingtonians, standard capacity magazines that Washingtonians already own won't be criminalized under this bill, but new sales of such magazines will be a gross misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail and a $5,000 fine. Yes. Yes. Critics said also the measure would ban magazines that come standard with many firearms while impeding people's ability to defend themselves, which is true.
Amen.
Would 10 rounds be enough to defend your life against someone who has intent to be taking it, said State Rep Kelly Chambers, a Republican of Puyallup, during a March 4th debate on the House floor. What if you're defending your spouse, your child? Would 10 rounds be enough? I think not. Several people who... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I like the fact that these people come up with these what ifs and these crazy ass scenarios about justifying somebody's use of their right to bear arms as, and if you'll never have an excuse to utilize this portion of your rights because it's not realistic anyway. So it doesn't matter if we take it from you.
Right.
And it's not about the implementation. It's about the infringement on the right. That is the problem. It's not the implementation of, you may never use 17 rounds to put down an intruder in your house. It might take one, but it's nobody's business but my own how many I want. None.
Let's check in a year from now and we will see I would bet money on it, that we will see a large disparity in the color of people who are arrested and charged under this law. I guarantee there will be more African Americans who are found guilty or charged with this law than there are white people. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Well, when you think about it too, one of the main ways this law will be implemented is in people that are already being arrested for another crime, right? So you just think of somebody that does a home invasion. And then they have a gun on them.
Yeah.
And they have a standard capacity magazine in that gun. Now,
Another
extra
charge.
Charges. You're going to jail for a longer period of time. Who is it, like you said, a year from now? Who is it? It's going to be disproportionately affected by this gun law that is supposed to be designed to keep people safe.
But it's woke as fuck, right? We're woke as fuck here. We're super woke. We're all about equity.
Yep.
But we're going to pass this bill that I guarantee you will disproportionately affect African Americans. I guarantee it.
Yep.
I also, one of the big concerns I have as someone who carries a gun every day, one of my big concerns is how this is going to affect concealed carry, people who carry firearms. Because that's another thing, even if you aren't committing crimes, if you, as the statistics lay out, right, African Americans have a higher interaction rate with police officers. If that's the case, you're carrying a gun with a standard capacity magazine because you didn't want to buy a new one, right?
Because technically, it's not illegal for you to have that because you've already had it before the law.
But I don't know, because it's not fully out yet. Am I going to be able to carry that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Can I have that with me? Can I carry it every day as my concealed carry magazine?
I would hope. Because I remember looking through that legislation, and it doesn't really talk about that other than, like, there's no way to prove that when somebody bought a magazine,
There's no serial
right?
number on a magazine.
No. And so that is prime territory for me, in my mind, thinking that as a layman. That seems like prime litigation territory. Yeah. That seems like a good excuse to sue these people for this, because how are you supposed to prove that?
Is the burden of proof on you or me to show that I bought this before this law was passed?
And I'll say it needs to be on them.
How do we know? You know, what I guarantee it'll be on me.
Yeah.
I will need to
show me your
receipts.
receipts.
Yep, your receipts that also don't have serial numbers on them to show that these magazines are the ones that you bought. But you can show me maybe a receipt that shows that you bought magazines on a certain day. Yeah.
I can't with these people. Whoa, I just hit your microphone. Your camera.
I said, I guarantee this will disproportionately affect African Americans. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it.
Ooh, much like, perhaps like the next one.
Yup. Revisiting police accountability laws. Last year, Washington lawmakers approved a new limit on the police uses of force, while also banning police use of tactics such as neck restraints and no-knock warrants. There's also one with like beanbag shotguns that they were okay, but some police thought they weren't okay, so some departments were just not using them at all. Some of the Democratic lawmakers who championed those bills say the measures had a few unintended effects, which they sought to remedy this year, like increasing crime rates and murder rates and things like that. House Bill 1719 clarifies that despite last year's ban on police use of military equipment, officers can still use firearms obtained from the military to deploy less than lethal weapons such as rubber bullets and beanbags. Another measure, House 1735, clarifies that police can still use physical force to help transport people to mental health treatment. Both these bills cleared the legislature with little opposition. Another change, however, has proven more controversial. House Bill 2037 will allow police to use physical force against people who try to flee when they are stopped from questioning. These investigative cops, commonly called Terry stops, are based on reasonable suspicion, which is a lower level of proof than the probable cause needed to arrest someone. Yeah. Last year's law, by contrast, held police to a higher standard, generally allowing officers to use force only when there is an imminent threat of injury or probable cause to make an arrest. Police agencies that request the change saying that last year laws prevent them from being able to pursue fleeing suspects in some cases. There was one about like car chases, like they weren't chasing down people in cars. We're not arguing for the expansion of police use of force.
Hard no.
Because I don't think that's a good thing.
Not really into that situation.
But again, I damn near guarantee this will disproportionately affect African Americans. I damn near guarantee it. And then they'll say, "Oh, we fucked up. We're not racist."
Oh no!
Because people are going to call them racist.
No, they do that knowing full well that it'll have that, because that still gives their argument against systemic racism more. It gives it more weight by the policies that they put into place. Sets up their future arguments against systemic racism when it's their policies to begin with.
This last one is for a greener transportation package.
Fuck you. Okay, sorry. I'm just. Oh,
lawmakers approved a $17 billion transportation revenue package that will invest in the state's highways, transit, and bridges over the next 16 years. Democratic leaders hailed the plan as the greenest transportation infrastructure package the state has ever approved.
Wicked green.
Citing how it would put more than $3 billion towards transit, $1.2 billion towards bike and pedestrian improvements, and additional money toward electrifying ferries and reducing carbon emissions. I wonder if an electric ferry will have more or less problems than the ones that we have, because there's almost always one that isn't working. Yes. If it's going to make them worse, don't do it. I don't care about, I love the environment. I care about converting to green energies. If it's going to fuck them up more, don't change the ferries. Just keep running them on diesel. I don't even want to talk about it.
You know what I really want to, I think about this, right, when it comes to green ferries. you're talking about an electric motor, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about electric engines fighting against, the currents of essentially the ocean.
In
the wind.
Northwest.
Yeah, word. So good idea. You need a lot of horsepower there. That's cool. How many batteries is that going to take? And all those precious minerals that have to be pulled from the ground in these conflict areas.
That's going to disproportionately affect black people.
that-
That is going to disproportionately affect
A lot of
black
POCs is going to be dying to get you those minerals so that you can have those
God.
batteries on that fucking ferry. And then how are you going to charge it?
It's woke as fuck.
What kind of power system are you going to use to charge those batteries? How often do you got to charge those batteries? None of this makes
spending
sense.
package. That's for the next green
Yes,
spending package.
that's
Don't
true.
worry.
Sorry.
We're
I'm getting ahead of myself.
We're not going to
here.
look to the private sector. We're not going to let somebody innovate. We're going to pay someone to innovate after it's too late and we realize that we made a mistake.
I'm so tired of the stupidity around this green bullshit.
Yeah.
Just go out and buy an electric car. Don't worry about what it actually takes for you to have your electric shit. And the coal power and the oil power that is powering that battery that lets you drive around all highfalutin where you're smelling your own farts. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. And I'm tired of these people acting like they're God's gift to humanity and future generations by saying we should do arguably more damage to the planet now so that we don't have to possibly maybe do it in the future, but also we don't account for population growth and the need for more and more energy.
Right.
So it's nonsensical and it pisses me off because they are bad people.
This is going to make you really happy.
Okay.
The package is paid for through a mixture of funding sources, including a transfer of more than $2 billion from the state's operating budget. Even though we need more money. We need
more
to
money.
increase our operating budget, right? $1.4 billion from increasing state license plate fees. Let's take 1 second, right? Because less than 2 years ago, Tim Eyman passed. He got a resolution passed that the state then fought literally to death to bring our $90 licensing fees to $35. Right? The state, after an initiative by the people was passed by a majority, the state fought it until it died, only to pass a $16 billion, $17 billion transportation package that would easily have filled that in.
Yeah. And these are new taxes on people that are not called taxes.
No.
These are required spending for citizens that occupy this area, that live here. The entire cost of living just got more expensive now because otherwise you're going to jail because you haven't registered your car. You can't drive your car at that point. You have to pay the tax if you want to participate in this society. Much less the sales taxes and all that other shit. That's not that.
Had to pay the state. Jordan and I paid the state $300 almost 2 months ago because she had to renew her license and we both had to renew the tabs in our car.
Oh yeah, God help you if it all comes at once, man.
To continue to drive.
Yeah.
To continue to operate a vehicle that I am paying another party for. I am paying a separate party for my vehicle.
Yep.
To have a license that says that I can drive so that I can also buy alcohol, so I can do all these things that I should be able to do as a regular adult.
Yeah.
The state or the license...
Except for voting.
The license... Except for voting, yeah. The license that you mandate that I have to pay you almost $90 for. The tabs that you mandate that I have to pay you $90... It's going to be more. Now it's going to be over $100 now for our tabs when this fucking kicks in.
Oh, yeah.
Every
God help
year.
you if you got personalized plates. It's even more expensive
year.
then. And... You said that the state fought against that card tab bill, right?
Tax, yeah.
They fought tooth and nail. And how did they win? They won on a fucking verbal technicality because the phrasing was wrong or it was a word that wasn't right. It was some bullshit that the people of the state had voted for. And they said, nah, you guys didn't know what you were voting for. Sorry.
And then the last part of it is $5.4 billion from the state's new cap and trade program. So, and I don't know that much about cap and trade. I'm sure you know more about it than I do. I'm not going to ask you to explain it.
Not today, baby.
But no. And I don't know enough about it to. I would want to be able to check you on it.
Yeah.
If you weren't correct.
That'd be a good convo in the future, though. One day.
Cap and trade. That'd be worth looking into. Yeah, I've heard the term a lot, but I don't
too.
know.
Yeah.
It would be worth having Larry on to talk about cap and trade. I'm sure he would fucking love to talk about cap and trade programs.
Larry,
you know.
listen.
Yes.
Let's talk.
Larry,
My one thing that was passed.
No gas tax. So at least the Democrats have bragged about how the package doesn't increase the state's gas tax, which they say benefits drivers all around the state.
It's actually one of the highest in the entire nation, by the way. Just so you know. Yeah, we saw $5.99. I saw $5.99 diesel a week ago.
Yes.
This week, magically, all the prices dropped. I don't understand how that happened. It was 50 cents overnight all week. I guarantee you on Monday it's going to be a different price. But what did you notice what it was at the place as you drove out here?
$4.39 at the
for regular
country corner. Yeah, regular. I did not look at diesel.
Okay.
Over $5 for sure.
No, that makes sense though, because that's about right where they've been at this week. But
yeah, $4.39.
Yeah, they dropped 50 cents from Sunday to Monday last week, which was very interesting.
Yeah,
and
I paid almost $5 for regular gas last week. $4.60 something.
Yeah.
It was.
I filled up my truck because I was doing so much driving around and stuff last weekend. It was over $100.
Yeah,
over a fucking $100 to fill up, dude. And that right there, that's another fucking tax on people.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to Leavenworth next weekend for our Jack's getaway trip. We have to take the truck.
Oh yeah.
I have to drive my truck to Leavenworth.
Yep. Oh yeah, you got to go up. Yeah. Highway 2 ain't something to fuck around with.
No,
in a car.
You never know. Yeah, you never know what it's going to look like, So
you never know if there's going to be a fucking bike race.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Last time I was coming back from Chelan, we were taking Highway 2 coming down that way, and there was a fucking bike race going on. And so this super narrow 2-lane fucking pass through the mountains, which is already treacherous on a good day in the sunshine, has got
cyclists
filled with cyclists. And you know what? Those people can't. I
hate it here.
I hate it. I will say
I hate it here.
one good
I love it here. And
one good bill that got passed this last legislative session, which I'm super happy about, is the Washington State adopted pickleball as the official state sport.
Yes.
I know here on the Salt of the Streets podcast, we love pickleball, so we're going to take that small W as we close out part 1 of 4.
Yes.
We'll take the small W, I think.
Yeah, that is the last part that we have here, so...
I looked at it, we're like an hour and a half. We got to close this.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. This is perfect. No, I've been looking at it too. So with that, I just want to remind everyone again, thank you for watching us here, Salt of the Streets. YouTube, we're going to take just our short break here. We have our Instagram, obviously, Salt of the Streets. We have our Facebook.com, fuckfacebook.com/saltofthestreets. Saltofthestreets.com for all this information. You can also find our Patreon there, patreon.com/saltofthestreets. You can go sign up there, help us make more, better content. Excuse me.
Patreon, YouTube,
Patreon, saltofthestreets.com for this. Oh, we also have our personal social media. I burped and lost everything.
It does happen. Just escapes.
Yeah, we also have our own personal social media. I'm at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Colin's at Big Bird Offie on both of those things. Swablin, if you need a haircut, I think he's going to come back very soon. Location, Skate Shop, if you need a skateboard. Lexi Kyle on Twitch. If you want to do some gaming, she's going to be back here very soon. And then Leggings and Aprons on Instagram, only for a little bit longer. Probably not that much. Fucking racked in like 8 cake jobs this week. She is crushing it right now.
So pay attention to that Instagram, people.
That's right. There's going to be lots of floss and ass cake. So with that, we'll be back in 3 minutes for part 2, Russia and Ukraine.
Hot dog.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat everything.